be allowed to ask one other candidate one question. And the candidate to whom he asks that question will be allowed to respond. 1 minute to ask, 1 minute to respond. And the first person will be Captain Dave Funk.
Thank you. Senator Zahn, I'd like to ask you, when the No Child Left Behind bill was passed in the federal level, will you in the future be willing to stand, whether it's in Congress against your own caucus, or here if you still happen to be in the state Senate where we need you as badly as we need a real leader in Congress, up to them, will you have the foresight to look at what the left is doing on everything from No Child Left Behind to the bullying bill and say, you know, I got to make a tough decision, and look at the left's agenda and make the decision to stand up to them at every opportunity? If so, how?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because you do get put in positions where you've got to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And what I've done, of course, the No Child Left Behind, I'm going to do what I think is best for the kids. Obviously, there's some problems with that. Usually, if I get a little off on my education stuff, my wife over there kind of tries to straighten me out. But she's there every day.
Mine's in education too, so we both get whacked.
So I can tell you that I will always do what I think is best for the kids. I mean, I've got kids. You got to talk to your kids and see what's going on. But I will tell you, in regards to the bullying bill, there was a lot of conversations in regard to that. And that was a tough decision for me to make. And I guess my question to you was, do you support kids being bullied?
I support. Is this officially his chance to ask me his question, Charlie?
No, you don't expect you to respond to that. That's probably not fair. But the fact of the matter is I got down and that was a tough vote. And yes, it was being pushed by the gay and lesbian community. But what it was is it also listed, you know, people from different ethnic backgrounds, people from different religious backgrounds. And I, at the very end, thought hard about this. And I just could not support kids being bullied. We all know kids are mean as heck to each other. And that's why I did that. And what I did do is I did show some independence. And I told the Republican Party, I think you're wrong. I don't think kids should be bullied.
Mr. Manchin.
Captain Funk.
Yes.
You get to Congress, and you've mentioned in the past some of your needs and wants as far as standing firm on the Constitution and so forth. What are some of the skills and attributes beyond holding the Constitution firm that you will bring as a need to perform that job, and what is the breadth of those skill sets?
Well, besides being a military officer, former police and still currently police officer, besides being an airline captain, arguably one of the world authority right now, and I'm with Blair & Associates, the top aviation security consulting group in the entire world. We get called more on tough issues that we face every day. You look at that depth and breadth of experience as a business owner, a business operator in the past, as an investor. I think all of the men that are standing on this stage, we're all 45, 50 years old. We should be pretty well qualified to recognize not just what we know, but what we don't know. And there's a lot of smart people in this district. And you know, I'm not a banker. I can call up the banking association or call up a couple friends of mine that are bankers and say, what is this bill going to do to you guys? It may be constitutional. How do we fix getting government, or how do we get government off your back? And that's what I will do. Where most congressmen, as I said, operate under that life's great unsolved mystery thing. You know, they think they're an expert on everything because they get elected to Congress. You don't have to be. We got a lot of smart people in the state of Iowa. It's my job as a representative to look them in the eye and ask them for help on issues when I need it.
Thank you.
Senator Zahn.
Well, I don't mean to pick on you, Dave.
That's what happens when you're on top.
But you know what? And by the way, I don't plan on being back in the Iowa Senate. But I tell you what, I had a question already for you, and I don't want to use it because your opening comments, you talked about, we don't need to send someone to Washington, D.C. that pushes the no button.
Mm-hmm.
And And my question to you is, you know, of all the bills that I've done, just tell me 3 that you would have voted differently, and why.
I wouldn't have voted differently. The important point of my opening statement was, a leader, when you went to the Senate, we had a 25-25 parity. Today, we're down to 18 Republicans in the Iowa Senate. We're down to 18 Republicans because we've lost our way. We haven't acted and lived within our own platform, lived up to our own code of honor, lived up to conservative principles. And as a result, the voters haven't necessarily rejected us. Our voters haven't showed up. They haven't come to the polls because every time we try to moderate our position, we accept the premises of the left. And I reject those premises. We need to stand tall and stand firm. And we need to beat them in committee. Better yet, we need to beat them even before the committee at the polls and make sure we have parity, or at least we have a leadership in the Senate. And that's the reason I would press that issue.